What's up, y'all? We are here for Bad Boys episode 5, I want to say 5 or 6. They could have kept this. And I mean that wholeheartedly. They could have kept this episode. This episode was so hard to get through. After 30 minutes, I realized that we were stuck on the same scene for half the episode. And then the rest of the episode didn't have much of substance. It was a bunch of stupid shit. But I'm going to talk to y'all about it. This is pretty much me going to pretty much talk about who was irritating me the most. And it's a lot of people that was irritating me this episode. But yeah, you're going to get this, and then we're going to tack along and stay along for the Baddies reunion. That's going to be at the end of this. I know for a fact that's going to deliver more because we got the fights and stuff to worry about. But thumbs up the video, drop the comments down below. If you are new here and you like what you see, thumbs up the video, drop the comments, subscribe. Thank y'all again for subscribing last week. And yeah, let's go ahead and get on into it. All right, so we get back from Chef D pretty much attacking Raz B and then starts spazzing out. He's spazzing out, having his own little episode. Because you can tell in his mind, oh, this is going to be my episode because I'm fighting everybody on this episode. That's just what I got from that. Raz B got off the bus and he was at this point, he's fuck the tour. He ain't trying to fight nobody. Well, not even he ain't trying to fight nobody. He just don't respect people putting their hands on him, which I understand. But me in general, if you're going to be there, you know that you likely are going to fight. At least you should know that. So in terms of that, he got off the bus, was like, nah, fuck this. So he got off. Chef D ends up throwing a burger in his face, which is what that attack was, because you couldn't see what it was. I don't even call anything that Chef D does a fight because the dude I don't ever see him swing. I've never seen him swing once. It's he just throws all his body weight on somebody and just starts mushing people's faces and stuff. And it's just dude, what are you trying to do? You big for it's you big for no reason. Swing. If you're gonna do all that, swing. But he was talking about how he threw a burger in his face, and he was sitting in his confessional. You can tell he was so happy about it. Oh, I just did something that's gonna get me something on TV. I'm really tough because I threw a burger in a boy that's half my size's face. He's God, he irritates my soul. And the whole episode, I could not help but notice that he was literally struggling to get his words out of his mouth because the teeth were blocking it. It's he got them teeth are so big in his mouth that he can barely get his words out. He can't even form a sentence. And it's his mouth hurts to get words out. And it's just dude, everything about this dude is annoying to me. But he's sitting there talking about how he threw that burger in his face. Orlando is sitting outside with Raz now, sitting here pretty much saying he out here, he's mad because Chef D put his hands on him. And Raz was looking what are you out here for? You know why he put his hands on me? Because you was out here being messy. And I was totally on Raz B's side the entire episode. Orlando come off the bus acting like he has no idea why he put his hands on him and sit here acting like it was so out of pocket. You set him up to get his hands or a burger thrown on him. And that's what Raz B was saying. You literally started this. And he was checking him the whole time. It's your fault. I said this stuff to you, looking out for you. And you threw that shit back in my face. And now he don't put hands on me. And now you sitting out here in my face talking about I'm so mad that he put his hands on you. It's your fault. And Orlando made me so mad this episode. I'm you. And then he started doing something else that I'm about to talk about later. But I'm dude, he's trying, you can tell in this episode, Orlando is trying his best to have a moment. He's trying to have a viral moment. You can tell he knows what he's doing in this episode. But that's what that was happening. Chef D is still sitting back there on the bus talking about he respects Prince because he had zelled him the money immediately, which I understand. In terms of that, like I said, if you owe me money or whatever, I expect you to give it to me. I shouldn't have to ask you for it. So I understand that. But we'll get on that later on. But Chef D ends up getting off the bus and tries to press Carry On. And Carry On is sitting there trying to get away from him or whatever. And Chef D ends up trying to charge at him and security stops him. He continues to try and press Carry On, and Carry On ends up running, claiming that he was running after him. And Chef D was pretty much claiming that he was running after him to get his money. It's what are you going to do? You going to beat him up and then you think, not even beat him up because you can't fight, but you're gonna get on top of him and think you pressing him is gonna make him send you money. Like if you don't want to send you money, he's not gonna do it. And my whole thing is with the whole money thing, it's like how much do they owe you to the point where you literally spazzing over this? Because if it's like how much was the bottle? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, and I understand it's the principle and whatever. Like, don't say that you're gonna pay for something, or at least don't agree to get a bottle or whatever if you're not gonna pay your end. But you acting like they owe you like 20 G's. Like at most it's probably like maybe $200, $300, maybe. Like that's how you can tell you broke. Like you trying to put on like you really with it, but you ain't got no money like that because you flipping out over probably $300. And they probably got more money than me, but guess what? I wouldn't be flipping out like that because first of all, I'm not offering to buy a bottle and then asking other people to go and have on it because I don't drink like that anyways. So if I'm gonna offer for a bottle, you need to pay me before I get the bottle. And that's just really what it is. That's your fault for allowing them to sell you while you go get a bottle and be mad about it. But that's what he was saying about that shit. Chef D ends up causing a scene, just doing his best to just have his moment. This is his episode. He eventually ends up getting back on the bus, telling security to get the cameras out of his face. And it's like, you just did all of this and you think they're going to get the cameras out of your face. You're the only one turning up. Of course, they're going to get on your face and have the camera in your face because you're the only one acting the fool. So they need something to film on the show. You know what you're doing on the show. Stop trying to act like you're so hired in this show, like you having a whole scene and you don't want to be caught on camera. Like, you know exactly what you're doing and you know you want to be caught on camera. But that's basically what that was happening. Carry On was saying that he wouldn't get back on the bus. Orlando's on the bus and now he's sitting here performing, going off, trying to act like he's pissed off about whatever he's pissed off about. I didn't even get the gist of it because I'm like, what are you screaming for? Like, why are you so mad? Because you started it. Like, what are you mad about? So he ends up randomly, Raz B said that he didn't even drink. That's what this Raz B was talking to, saying that he didn't even drink the liquor that Chef D had bought. And if that's the truth, I don't blame him for not paying for it. Granted, we're going to talk about it later on, but if I didn't drink it, I'm not paying for it. And I don't blame him for it. Like, I don't blame him at all. I would not pay for it if I didn't drink it. So back on the bus, Orlando ends up randomly swinging on Banga. And Banga said that he wasn't going to fight him because he knows that he's going to whoop his ass. And I believe that he would. Because Orlando, that little swing that he did not connect. And Orlando he was doing too much. Like, he was doing way too much. And said that Banga was being weird because he called Orlando messy. And it's like, and like Banga said, you were being messy. Like, what you did was messy. So Orlando was getting on my nerves the whole episode. Chef D tries to get off the bus and ends up trying to run up on Carry On again. Security ends up like stiff arming him and knocks his big fat ass on that ground. He's still sitting there whining about the money, doing way too much as usual. That's just the whole theme of the episode with him. He's just sitting there screaming about the money, whining about the money, and just like causing a scene, just trying his best to just have a moment on TV. But Carry On ends up saying that he'll get in the gloves with D, but he ain't trying to knock out them teeth because he paid enough money for him, which was funny to me because it is the truth. Like, but you need to knock them teeth out of his mouth, and hopefully he won't have to put some new veneers in. But then again, they shave your teeth down just to put the veneers on, so he might need them because he's not going to walk around with fucked up teeth. But that was a funny moment for me. Jonathan and Darrell end up getting in a sprinter because apparently they have a booking. So Jonathan ends up getting a call that his truck ends up getting, I guess, fucked up, or they ended up wrecking the truck or whatever. So he's pissed off about that. Chef D ends up getting over there to the van with them, calling Jonathan his twin and whatever. And you can just tell, like, just the leeching. Like I told y'all, he's going to leech on the Jonathan just for clout and just he wants to have that moment with Jonathan. And Jonathan, I could tell Jonathan don't really care. Chef D is just a cast member in this moment to me. If you're asking me, I feel like Jonathan knows that Chef D is just a cast member. Jonathan, I don't see Jonathan hanging out with him outside in real life. Like, but that's what Chef D's trying to do. He's trying to leech onto him because Jonathan got some bit of clout with him. But the next scene, we finally end that big old scene. It's Orlando, JB, Prince, and Banga. And they're on their bus. Chef D, Jonathan, Lou, and Rails on the other bus going to Dallas. Of course, the two leeches ended up going with Jonathan and Rails. And they ended up sitting on the bus, still whining about the money and whatever. And they ended up driving to Dallas to go to the hosting that they had at the club. And nobody was there. So I found that hilarious that they spent 4 hours driving from Austin just to get up there, and nobody's there. The event is closed. I wonder what time they got there, because it seems like, because when they was fighting and stuff, it was nighttime. So 4 hours, and this is back in February, I want to say, February, January, when they was filming the show. So it was like still nighttime at like 6 o'clock. So I don't know what time they got to the club, but maybe it was closed at the point, but they ended up saying that it was done. Like Jonathan was saying that he got promoters hitting him up, thinking that he ran away with the money and didn't show up to the club. Rail said that he had missed out on 5 bands. And if that is true, that he was getting paid $5,000, I saw it and thought, I'm like, okay, them baddies is over there getting $1,000, and their stock is, in my opinion, should be higher than his. So if he out here getting 5K, then they need to turn it up a little bit over there. But he said he missed out on that. But they ended up finally getting to Austin, and the rest of the dudes that was already in Austin ends up getting in the house looking for their rooms. They end up noticing that there is actually 2 houses, but they go to the main house. Princess, which I'm gonna call him Princess from here on out because they made a very funny point, which I'm gonna talk about later, ends up moving a mattress out of his bedroom because apparently his room was too small to have 2 beds. So he moves it out. Chef D, Lou, and Rails, they ended up getting on a Sprinter the next day, and Jonathan is not there because he's still dealing with the shit with his truck. So he's gonna join them in Austin whenever he finishes that. But them 3 get on the bus, and Chef D was saying that he had an issue with Prince, Carry On, and Raz B, saying that he was mad because everybody agreed to getting the bottle and splitting it, but pouring drinks in fans' mouths, and nobody paid their cut. So if that is true, I can see why he would be upset. Because they didn't drink. If you didn't drink it, you didn't drink it. But if you pouring the drinks, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Let me know how y'all would feel about that. Because I'm sitting here thinking about it as I'm saying it. Because they're not drinking it, but they pouring it in the fans' mouth, which is essentially them drinking it, if you want to ask me. I don't know. Tell me how y'all feel about that. I wouldn't pay for it because if I'm not drinking it, I'm not paying for it. But pouring the drinks into the fans' mouths, I can kind of see where somebody would be upset. But let me know how y'all feel about that. Who do y'all agree with in that instance? But yeah, that's pretty much where he was at with that. They ended up calling Prince and saying Prince acts like a princess. They started imitating him, so that was funny to me. But I checked out. Like they were still talking about a bunch of stupid shit. Them 3 irritate me, Rails included, because Rails is doing a lot the last 2 episodes that I just can't get with. He's just starting to irritate me too. But the whack 3, they ended up finally arriving to the Austin house. They go looking for their rooms. Rails ends up on the phone with Natalie. He's pretty much filling her in on what has happened. She ends up filling him in that they're going to end up getting a replacement. He wants to know who it is. She tells him that she can't tell him, and that's just pretty much it. So Teeth ends up going up and finding Orlando in his room and ends up telling him about the bus booking, like how they went up there to Dallas and nobody was there. They missed out on money, whatever. Lou and his leeching ass ends up coming in, and they just performing for the camera. They just doing the best that they can. You can tell they trying their best to just give a show, whack. And then the whack 3 end up going, and I'm gonna call them the whack 3 because they just moving in a pack together, which is Darrell, Lou, and Teeth. So they ended up going looking for the other house. They ended up trying to find D a room, but they end up getting over to the other house. Carry On, JB, Raz B, and Princess is outside in the back. And the whack 3 end up coming over there, and Chef D is talking about he's mad about the money. He sees Carry On. He's even more mad now. So he ends up going, where's my money? Where's my money? And Carry On sitting over there. I think he had on gloves. At least I think he did. He might not have. But he was on that type of time. He was ready for whatever. So he's like, don't come over here. And then Chef D ends up coming over there. And then they end up scrapping. And that was it. They literally could have kept this episode. Could have kept it. And if anything, they could have condensed that whole like first 35 minutes into like a 1-minute scene. And then gave us this Carry On and Chef D piece. And then give us the rest of what's coming next week. But next week, Raz B ends up checking Orlando for the mess that he started, rightfully so, which I find so interesting because watching the super trailer, I was like, Raz B's probably doing too much, like just trying to start something. It's the complete opposite to me. Like I feel like Raz B is genuinely justified in doing whatever he does, and we'll see what happens later on, which is crazy because I was not expecting to be on Raz B's side. But they ended up going out in Austin. Natalie ends up coming in to tell them that the replacement is coming. The replacement gets in there, and Chef D ends up trying to fight him. So we'll see what's up. Hopefully, hopefully next week's is better, because this was fucking horrible. I hated it. Tell me what y'all thought about the episode. Stay tuned. I'm going to go watch Baddies, the reunion, whenever it drops. It's literally 17. Last week, I had to rush and do like both of them at the same time because I just got home from my grandparents' house last week at like 10 o'clock. So this will be out earlier than normal, or earlier than last week. But I will see y'all for the Baddies reunion. That should be good. And yeah, thumbs up the video, drop the comments down below. If you are still watching, continue to watch if you're watching for Baddies. And I will see y'all soon. Oh, God, what a fucking mess. Man, I don't even know what to say. I'm just going to show y'all what my notes are, because it's the most unorganized fucking mess. Just look at this shit. And this is just spark notes of me just talking about like little things to keep my mind in tune with what happened in what order. The most unorganized mess I've ever seen in my life, the most unorganized reunion ever. And that brings me to Janisha. I'm gonna just hit her first real quick. She don't need to host shows no more. She don't ever control the show. Like, she never controls the reunion. She sits back, sitting here, can we stop? Can we stop? That's all she do. She don't fucking control the reunion at all. Stop having her host the show. And she only hosted because she's, what, I think fiancés or married to Lemmy, who was on here with a blurred out face. Like, we don't know who you are, and we don't know that this is your network. Like, why are you blurring yourself out? But let's go ahead and get on into it. Thumbs up the video, drop the comments down below. Let's go. All right. So we get back to Sky running up on Rolly, kicking, and then landing up on her back. Like, you ran up and you ended up on your back. And just to let y'all know, there was no conversation really happening at all this entire reunion. And that it was the end. Like, I didn't realize that this is only a 2-part reunion, which luckily I'm glad they did, because what else are they going to talk about? But she ran up, landed up on her back. Stunna then runs up and kicks Rolly. Rolly ends up catching it. Sky's punk ass tries to run up again and catch Rolly off guard, but she ended up failing again because security got to her before she couldn't even do anything. So Rolly's sitting down, clowning both Sky and Stunna. Rolly was cracking me up, like literally going off on both of them, just like clowning them, like, y'all bitches ran up on me and still didn't do nothing. And they didn't. Truth be told, they ran up and did not do anything. But Sky sitting there asking Rolly if she was missing an eyelash when they separated them. She's on the other side on the couch with Kat, asking her if she's missing an eyelash, because she was missing an eyelash. And Rolly was like, yeah, because you out here scratching. And then Rolly meows. Like, she does this cat meow and just cracked me all the way up. But when she did that, that's what antagonized Sky to get up and run up again, kicking again. And somebody went in my comments saying something like, why do you think kicking is not a part of fighting? It's not a part of fighting. Like, that's some punk shit. Like, you only kick when you ain't got your hands. Like, if your hands are tied up and you on the ground or whatever, or your hands is tied back, like you look at Seven's fight, that fight that she had with the big girl on her season. When security had her hands back, she was kicking. That's when she was kicking, because she's still trying to get you. And if you ain't got no hands, then kick. I would kick too, but if I'm gonna run up on you, the first thing I'm doing is not kicking. That's what Sky does, and she did it the entire reunion, running up, kicking. But she ran up kicking, and Rolly was swinging down on her. Like, she ran up and kicked. Rolly got her and was just bop, bop, bop. So that was funny. Stunna ends up trying to jump again, and then Biggie comes out flying, trying to not allow it to be a 2-on-1 situation, which I respect Biggie for, because I would have done that too, and I've always been preaching about it, because if I see somebody getting jumped, I'm jumping in too. If it's a 2-on-1 situation, I'm running up and jumping in and helping whoever was the one on the odd one out. So that happens. Rolly is now ready for Stunna because she sees that she tried to jump in on her. So Natalie ends up seeing Tommy as these two are going back and forth. She's now antagonizing Tommy, because Tommy is like, she's not on the set yet, but she's getting ready to be on the set. And she's antagonizing her, saying, come get this ass whooping hoe, yada, yada, yada. You know how Natalie is. Like, she deep in her thug thizzle Natalie Nunn bag, like her I'm from the Bay Natalie, not the prim and proper Natalie. So you know how she is. So she doing all that. Natalie ends up getting up. Stevie and Lemmy, like I said, had that blurred out face trying to get her to sit down. Tommy ends up coming out. She sees Stevie and she's excited because she's like, is that Stevie? I'm like, who is that? So she sees it's Stevie. Obviously, she's excited because they come from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So all this shit is going on. She ain't even phased, like, at all. Tommy is not phased, and she's not phased the entire reunion. And when I say Tommy came out the best to me this entire episode. She won the reunion to me, and I'll elaborate a little bit more. But she won the reunion to me. Lo was kind of like second best. Lo wasn't involved in much, but the reason why I say Tommy won because Tommy was involved in a lot of this mess, but she came out looking like a polished penny, if you ask me. But Natalie ends up throwing a drink. Tommy wasn't fazed by it. Tommy ends up starting to walk towards Kat because Natalie had started talking about how she was doing whatever she was doing with Kat. And Natalie's sitting there popping her shit behind security. And like I said, she brought up Kat. Tommy ends up walking towards Kat saying, like, I only said this stuff about you being a lapdog because y'all tried to say that Biggie was a lapdog, which she was. And Kat, I don't believe Kat was a lapdog. I've said that numerous times. I will stand on that. She was not a lapdog. She was just trying to be cool with Stunna, the girl who essentially everybody in the house was not fooling with. And Kat is that type of person. If you watched her on her season of Bad Girls Club, you realize that she connected with the person that was the outcast because she's not the type of person that's going to jump in on some gang mentality trying to bully essentially the odd man out, especially if I don't have a reason to not like you. I'm not going to join in on a group to hate you for no reason. Like, if I don't have a reason to not like you, why would I do that? And I agree. That's why I've been backing Kat the entire time because I agree with it. But she ends up walking up on Kat. Both of them was ready for whatever. Both of them swing. And from this angle, both of them missed, if you ask me. And I'm mad because they said on BGCT, said on Twitter that they won a couple rounds, and we didn't see any other rounds. Like, that was it. Both of them swung. Tommy's went over her head. Kat's, from the angle that they showed, it didn't look like it hit Tommy. But that's the thing. That's why I wish they knew a panorama. We need to see all angles so we can really see who hit what. But to me, it looks like they did not connect, both of them. But both of them sitting there popping it. Kat's ready to get it in. Philly is out. Kat is out. Y'all wanted her to turn up so bad. Don't sit here and say she's doing too much because she turning up now. Like, she has but that's the thing though. Kat has a reason to turn up because Tommy was popping shit about her. And Kat is at that point where now she's ready to turn up because you done gave me the reason to. So all this is happening and everybody else is fighting. Like, it's so much fighting going on at this moment that I can't even keep up with who's doing what. You got Kat and Tommy. You got Natalie trying to get at Tommy. You got Stunner, Rolly, and Sky. Too much shit going on. So security is sitting there restraining damn near everybody. Tommy ends up asking Rolly as she's going towards the front of the stage if they told her to do something, talking about, I think it was either producers or Natalie asking if they told her to do something. And I'm assuming that she was talking about when it was in London for the fight. And then she ends up elaborating on it, saying like how they told you to say that I do drugs. Have you ever seen me do drugs? And Rolly said she ain't never seen that. And nobody's ever told her to do that. So in a way, she kind of got Rolly because it's like Rolly sitting here saying she did drugs and she said she's never seen it. So it's like you taking other people's words for it. If you ain't, granted, we all know Tommy, the way she acts, she has to be inducing in some drugs. But Rolly flat out said on the show, like, I didn't do it. Like, I didn't see you do it. So she kind of gave Tommy a point right there. But Tommy and Rolly, they end up trying to talk it out. And then Stunner ends up interjecting, which then gets Rolly sidetracked. Then Sky's punk ass. And she's been doing this the whole fucking reunion. Anytime somebody else is trying to talk to Rolly, anytime anybody else is trying to do something with Rolly, she's barking in, trying to get a little bit of camera time. Janisha. And then I started talking about Janisha because this whole time it's commotion everywhere. She's just sitting there. But you're supposed to be the main host. Like, you're the main host of all these Zeus reunions and you don't ever do anything to calm this shit down. Like, what is the point in you being up there if you're just going to sit there with your mullet looking crazy? Like, what is the point? She can never control the cast. So Tommy ends up pulling out, she didn't even pull out the razor. The razor was right, not the razor, the taser. It was right there because Janisha had stood back and like tried to refrain Tommy and ends up touching the taser and the taser starts vibrating. So then, of course, everybody's freaking out about it. And then punk ass Scotty is the main one popping her shit about it. Sitting here saying, well, why you got a taser? And what have I told y'all all season? And if you've been following me since I started YouTube talking about these Zeus shows, if I know there's a chance that I'm going to get jumped, whatever I said, there's no rules for me. Like when it comes to fighting, if I know I'm going to get jumped, I'm bringing whatever, I'm swinging whatever, I'm using whatever. I have no issue with Tommy bringing that taser to the reunion. I don't, because if all these people, which she already knows, a lot of these girls don't like her, there's a chance that they're gonna try and jump her. I would bring whatever I need to do too. So I'm not mad at Tommy. And she had that taser and she was like, yeah, I got it. And then she had her prison lip out. And Tommy got that prison lip. When she get that prison lip, it cracks me up. But Scotty's sitting there popping her shit, running her mouth, trying to have a moment because Razor's not there. So now she got to find somebody else to try and get a moment with. Tommy saying, girl, you a real white girl. Shut up. Like she was not paying her no mind. And I loved it. Tommy was winning me over this whole reunion. But Lo and Tommy end up getting into it because Lo was saying, like, why are you bringing it? She's basically saying it's whack to bring weapons. And it's like I said, if I feel like I'm getting jumped or there's a chance that multiple girls are going to try to come at me at one time, why would I not prepare myself? Because if it's not fair with me getting jumped, I'm not going to play fair either. And if you want to come play with me if you want to and you get hurt, you get hurt. So I'm not mad at her. But it's a bunch of arguing still going on. It's too much to gather. So I really cannot even like spark note anything that was happening in that moment. But like I said, anytime Rolly starts talking, Sky starts jumping in. It's like, she a weirdo. Scotty is a weirdo. And Scotty's weird ass start charging at Tommy for what? I have no idea. It's like, you are weird. Like, why are you trying your hardest to try and prove something? Like, she's the only one on this show at this reunion trying to prove something. You can tell she came on this show to prove to y'all that one little scuffle that she had was not a fluff. And Scotty, you a weirdo. Like, and then Tommy was not fazed by it at all. And I was laughing my ass off. Like Tommy, like I said, she got that prison lip. Lo ends up walking off, changing clothes. Kat ends up walking off, changing clothes. Her and Tommy get into it again when Kat comes back out there. And Kat was getting her. She was saying that Tommy fucks everybody on the show, like producers, to get her spot and keep her spot on Zeus. Kat was getting her because Tommy wasn't really saying much back. She was kind of like, what, girl, what? Kat was getting her. Scotty then sitting over there trying to pipe in, trying to be relevant. Like, that has nothing to do with you. Tommy and Kat got their own beef for a reason. Tommy she ain't paying you no mind, just like Razor ain't paying you no mind. So you sitting here trying to beef with girls that don't give a fuck about you. Like, you just trying your best to have a beef. And the one beef that you should have is the girl that you be sitting up under, eating her, you know what, all day long. Like, please, like, stop. Like, Scotty's a loser. And that's what I've been saying all season. She is a fucking bum. But Rolly and Stunner, they end up getting into it again. But they both just sitting there talking shit. Rolly said that Stunner has been sitting in the same spot the whole time and will not run up. She did not lie. Granted, Stunner might be just sitting there because she knows security gonna jump, because security was around everywhere, because everybody was fighting the whole time. So it's like, what you want me to do? Run up and then get stuck? Like, what's the point? So Rolly had said that she had got Rolly sitting there popping her shit, saying that she gonna go sit on Stunner's nigga's face and fart in his mouth. She said she might shit in his mouth too. Rolly was popping shit the whole time. I was laughing so hard. Tommy was laughing. The commotion finally subsides for like a little bit. And Rolly said she's going to go over there and talk to Biggie. When she said she's going to go over there, of course, security's freaking out. So they're trying to refrain her. But she's like, no, I'm not going to go over there and touch her. I'm not trying to touch her. I just want to go talk to her. So they go sit and split the chair that Biggie was sitting on. They both sitting on one end of the arm. So then Rolly's saying that her issue with Biggie is that because everybody saw something in her, like putting her on the show. And what she had her issue with Biggie is that she never wanted her to, well, Rolly was saying that she was never going to fight Biggie over Stunner. Stunner then interjects, which then causes more commotion again. It's like, you can't have a conversation at all this entire reunion. But Rolly then tells Biggie to stop worrying about Stunner. That was my whole issue with you. You spent the entire season consumed on this girl over some beef that had nothing to do with you. That's where it all started with you. You started the beef over the shit that her and Tommy had. And it's like, granted, you can have an opinion on it, but you sat there and pressed that issue the entire season. And that's kind of what Rolly was trying to say. And Biggie was saying that she wasn't worried about it, which we all know she was. You spent the entire season worried about Stunner, the entire season. And Tommy ends up trying to vouch for Biggie. And Rolly was like, don't even say it because you wasn't there at all times. Rolly ends up kind of bringing up points that Tommy said that she's never seen. And then Rolly's like, yeah, that's like what I said. You wasn't there to see it. So Sky is still trying to pipe in, trying to get camera time. Rolly ends up saying that she got mad because Biggie was popping her shit online. Like, Rolly was not paying her any mind at this point. But then Rolly ends up paying her mind because Sky's sitting there chanting, Jerry, 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 because, you know, Rolly was on Jerry Springer. Rolly ends up running up on Sky. Sky had a moment to actually really fuck Rolly up. Because when she ran up, Sky like grabbed her head and she had that free right arm. Security was getting to them, but she had that free right arm where she could have just went the whole time. She got maybe one little hit in, but it didn't look like it wasn't nothing. It was like a love tap. So I'm like, you weak. Like, you just showing the whole time that you can't fight. And the one time that you had an opportunity to really get like the upper hand on Rolly, you failed. Like, you failed miserably. And Rolly kind of got her a little bit too afterwards. But they moved Sky off the set. She goes over there where Natalie is, and Natalie's sitting over there in the corner saying that nobody is letting her do what they want her to, what she told them that she wanted to do, which I'm assuming in this moment when Natalie, Sky, Stunner, and punk ass Scotty, when they were sitting there together in them trailers, I guess whenever they came to the reunion at the beginning, I guess they kind of set up a plan to try and get Tommy. So Stunner and Natalie end up talking about it, and Stunner's like, well, I was trying to get mine, but you can go ahead and go in there and get yours now. Like, you was just sitting there. So they ended up walking back out there. Biggie said that she feels, and Biggie and Rolly, they still talking. Biggie said that she feels like Rolly pretended to be cool with her, and when the cameras turned on, she switched up. Rolly flips the fuck out. Like, you fucking lying. Which that's like, you literally are doing this with these these three fingers pointing back at you. That's literally what you did. Like, you the type of person that you can tell that Biggie was doing what she was doing for the cameras. But that flipped Rolly out. She was flipping out. Security had to end up moving her away. They calm it down, and then they end up asking how everybody felt about Razor and Krishan not being there, but they focused more on Razor. Tommy was saying that she wanted to see Razor because they like connected on fashion and whatever, which we all know Razor and Tommy was hands down the best fitted girls on the show. Like, they had the best looks, fits, hair, the entire set. They looked the best out of everybody. And you can tell Tommy and Razor got close, which I love. Lo was saying that she was looking forward to seeing her. But they tried to, and Lo even joined in on this, which was weird to me. They tried to make it seem like Razor was scared of Scotty. Granted, a lot of y'all want to say that she was from that interview that she did with Dira. I didn't see it as that. Razor just seems like she was the type that kind of like really understood and kind of saw how she looked on the show and didn't want to go there and fight again. Because she know what the reunion is. Like, anybody knows when you go to the reunion, you're going to be fighting. And she already said in that interview that they kind of tipped her off that she would end up basically fighting. And it's like, if I'm at that point in my stage in my life where I don't feel like I want to continue to do that, then why the fuck would I go? And back to the point, Tommy was saying that Razor had lost her phone because everybody else was saying that she was scared. And Tommy said she lost her phone on the plane. Scotty ends up interjecting saying that you wasn't there to know that. And Tommy said, you wasn't there either. You wasn't there either, bitch. Like, why are you sitting here trying to tell me what's going on? Like, you don't even talk to Razor like that. And I was so happy that Tommy was sticking up for Razor the whole time. Scotty's still sitting there trying to say that there's no need to talk on Razor because she's not there. But you spent the entire time at the beginning on the first part talking about Razor, talking about how you was wanting to fight her and blah, blah, blah. Tommy said exactly what I would have said. Did the host not just ask us about Razor? We're talking about Razor. The topic is about Razor, so I'm going to talk about it. And Scotty's interjecting, Scotty ends up claiming that Razor was talking shit about her on live. And it's just like, bitch, shut up. And then Tommy kept saying, like, Razor ain't scared of you, bitch. Ain't nobody scared of you. Razor ain't scared of you. She kept punking Scotty. And I was getting my entire life watching that. I was so excited. Because y'all know that's what I've been saying the whole time. Ain't nobody scared of you, Scotty. You let these fans pump your head up thinking that just because you got in that one little scuffle where you didn't win that fight. You didn't win any fight. Yes, you got a couple licks in, but that don't mean you want to fight. Like, Razor was getting you too. And Tommy even said this too. She said, Razor, or not Tommy said this, but she said that Razor was, Tommy did say this. Tommy said Razor was trying to get another fight with you and you did not want it, which we all saw. like, Punk, like, you a loser. Like, and then Razor was pressing you the whole time and you did not want to fight. But now you on the show and now you Billy Badass because you don't let these fans gas your head up. But Tommy was not going for none of that. And like I said, Tommy was winning me. This is when she was really winning me back. But Krishan ends up videoing in and she looks good. Krishan looks good. Like, I've been watching her here recently too. She's been having she's been looking really good. And I could tell that hopefully, I don't know, one day I hope that she'll end up leaving Blueface. But you can tell like the pregnancy is starting to kind of like, I'm not gonna say it's changing her because she's still Krishan, but I feel like she's starting to mature a little bit. We'll see what happens after she has the baby. But she looked very good. She looked beautiful in this clip. Like, you can tell she was happy. Her skin looked very nice. Like, she looked very clean. Like, that's what a baby's gonna do to a woman. I feel like a woman is the most beautiful when she's pregnant. And she looked beautiful. But she was talking about how she loves everybody and saying that she didn't want to go out there, even though she was pregnant. She still would have fought somebody if somebody did some crazy shit, which I'm glad she did not go for that reason, because we all knew she would still fight pregnant. But she's talking, and as she's talking, and this happens the entire time her video is running, everybody's fighting. Nobody's listening to her. Tommy ends up walking out. Natalie's trying to get at her. Rolly ends up running up on Stunner. That gets broken up immediately. Sky's still trying to jump in. And then Krishan's video, like I said, is still going. Sky and Rolly end up throwing shit back and forth at each other. Janisha is now asking Lo why all this shit is going on, trying to have a conversation with Lo while all this shit is going on. Like, bitch, you are the host. Calm this shit down before you ask somebody a question, because can't nobody hear nothing, because Natalie is sitting there screaming. So she's sitting there asking how Lo felt, how everything played out with Krishan, because Krishan was saying that she hates that they got into that fight or whatever. Lo was saying obviously she was mad how it turned out, but because they didn't have no beef. She said that they had hugged it out and been cool since then. Natalie's still screaming, "Get your issue, bitch!" And she screamed, "Get your issue" the entire season, the entire episode. And y'all know how Natalie is. Whenever she get a catchphrase, she wears that motherfucker out. But Lo and Janisha, like they said, they still trying to, like I said, they still trying to have that conversation. Natalie's still hollering over him, trying to get to Tommy. Stunner ends up running up on Tommy while Tommy is basically getting bombarded by security. Natalie sits back down. Rolly ends up noticing that Sky is not running up unless Stunner is sitting there validating and advocating it, which is the truth. Tommy is not bothered by any of this. The entire time, she did not look fazed by none of it. And there was points where I thought she was going to end up getting like bum rush jump. And that girl was not fazed by none of it. And you know she's not fazed because she done been in and out of prison. Like, like anybody that knows, you know that's normal in prison. So obviously she ain't fazed by it. Stunner tries to run up on Rolly again. Rolly and Stunner end up posting the weakest post up I've ever seen in my life. But Stunner ends up clawing. And this is the first time, and I feel like this might have been the only time this entire reunion that they actually let them get a couple minutes in without breaking it up. Stunner starts clawing because they start going at each other, and it's just like they get on top of each other. Stunner got her hand out like this. And then they both end up balling them fists up and start like just swinging. So both of them started knocking a little bit, but that was it. They broke it up. Natalie sitting there saying, "I'm next." So Natalie and Tommy end up getting up. Natalie ends up kind of getting Tommy. I'm not gonna lie to you. She kind of got her, and then Natalie ends up on the floor getting a wig snatched, obviously, as always. Natalie then goes around backstage. Tommy trying to get to Natalie. Security stopping her. Security ends up bringing Tommy to Stunner's side, and Stunner obviously was about to try and get her. Tommy was throwing shit at the cameras, punching the cameras. Natalie comes back out. Tommy's still getting restrained by security. Like, they bringing her in between Natalie and a security-free Scotty. This is how you know Scotty is a punk. Run up or not, jumped or not, she had nobody around her, and she had a clear shot at Tommy. She'd been sitting there acting all tough the whole time while Tommy was literally bombarded by security. You had an option and you had a clear open space to go run up there and do what you claim you so big and badass to do. And she didn't do it. But they ended up bringing her, like I said, in between them two. Tommy was fucking that set up. Like, I ain't never seen somebody tear a set up like that in my entire life. Like, that was giving me flashbacks to like Love and Hip Hop, the season, that reunion when Jocelyn and Tommy was not Jocelyn and Tommy, Jocelyn and Stevie ran up on Benzino, and whoever that girl was, what was her name? feel like it started with an H. I can't remember, but you know what I'm talking about. When Jocelyn was just going off and swinging on everybody. That's kind of what this was giving me, because Tommy was fucking that set up. Just knocking over speakerphones, knocking over speakers, hitting cameras, hitting TVs. Like the lights was going down. They had to rebuild the setup for Stevie and Janisha to do their goodbyes. That was it. That was a lot of shit. That was a lot of shit. And of course, they talked about nothing. Absolutely nothing. But that was it. That is the end of Baddies, my Baddies West season 3 reviews. That's it. So we'll see what's happening. I know they got Baddies East on the way. This is my 3rd season. I've reviewed 3 whole seasons of this show. Crazy. And it's been 2 years now. It's been 2 years since I've been on YouTube. I think it like passed last month. But yeah. And thank y'all for the love and support. Honestly, truth be told, this show is what's kind of gotten me most of my, like the bulk of my subscriptions. All of y'all that watch me on a consistent basis, it's brought all of y'all to me, and I'm appreciative. And I will continue to do it as long as I can. And when I say as long as I can stomach it. Because I appreciate y'all. Y'all like watching me talk about it, and y'all like interacting with me, and I appreciate y'all for doing that, because you don't have to. Because I'm not a big YouTuber. I'm not a big personality that you need to comment on. So I appreciate y'all for doing it. And I appreciate y'all for watching. Thank y'all for watching. I will see y'all next week for Bad Boys, Texas. Go ahead and subscribe to my girl Movie Bae. We always be shouting each other out. Go subscribe to her. We might do whenever they drop the casting special, not the casting special, the auditions for the East. We might do a collab. So be on the lookout. Go follow her. I will drop her page in the info box. And yeah, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. I'll be talking most of my stuff on Twitter. Thumbs up the video. Drop the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. Continue to share the video. Let's keep running it up. And I will see y'all next week for Bad Boys and the Challenge USA. I'll be here for that. Y'all know why. But I'll see y'all. Peace.